So 2024 marked 40 years since the beginning of the franchise, where it all began, the birth of Transformers itself, from 1984 to 2024. That's absolutely crazy. That is 40 years of fandom, 40 years of figures, 40 years of shows, 40 years of games, of movies. And even though the journey hasn't been perfect, the fandom stayed strong. The franchise survived through so much. And this year was definitely an awesome year for releases. Not only did we get awesome figures to commemorate the 40th anniversary, but we got a brand new motion picture. Well, as we pay our final farewell to this 40th anniversary mark, it's time that I go through my top 10 figures that I collected this year. And spoiler alert, I'm broke.
Alfonso, this is Optimus Prime. Hold on to your dreams. Never give up and never give in. Transform and roll out.
What's good, Alfonso Nation? Welcome back, everybody, to another one. Guys, I don't know how this year happened and then just stopped happening. Because it's done. The year's done. It just went by in a flash. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, but we made it. We're at the end, and it's crazy. The 40th anniversary celebrations were like popping. I was like surprised. Even from the beginning of the year when they did the TFCon G1 reunion, I got a chance to go to that in LA, and that was insane. And then they had all these incredible releases following after, and then awesome promises for 2025. And man, did TF1 deliver! I was blown away. I mean, blown to cinders at how amazing Transformers 1 ended up being. The marketing just did not do justice, and it really deserved a lot better. Well, in classic channel tradition, we're gonna go through my top 10 figures I collected this year. Now, fair warning, not all of these figures actually released this year. Sometimes you'll collect something that came out long ago that you never got your hands on, or maybe something was out of stock for a long time and it finally came back in stock so you're able to get it. So some of these figures are basically an example of that. Figures I've wanted for a long time, but finally got my hands on in 2024. Now, some of these are 2024 releases, and let me tell you, they're pretty freaking incredible. So yeah, let's get into the list. Number 10, I gotta give it to a figure that blew me away. Like, when I first saw the promotions of it, I was like, it could be cool, but when I got it in hand, I was like, this is my favorite of the bunch, and that is the Studio Series 112 Transformers 1 Deluxe Optimus Prime. This figure is so freaking awesome. When I saw the official render, I was like, the yellow is not really, giving all that, but when I got it in hand, I was like, this is the most fun Deluxe Studio Series Prime, or Deluxe Prime pretty much at all, that I've ever had. He's just so fun. He's like, you can pose him. The transforming is cool. He's not a perfect figure by any means, but he's a really fun one. My favorite things about this figure is the S-tier posability. He's one of the most posable primes that they have in the deluxe market. He's also really fun to transform and mess around with. I also love that for a deluxe figure, he has the removable matrix of leadership. It actually comes out and he can hold it. That's so freaking cool. You normally see that for either Voyagers or Leaders, but for a deluxe budget, that's dope. Genuinely, this guy is one of the best deluxes that we have for Optimus Prime. He's my personal favorite deluxe. Now, my least favorite things about this figure is the waist piece, that we have here. It kind of pops off easily when you're trying to handle him and pose him. And, it's meant to, I guess, move out of the way when you pose him. But I think it would have been better if it was, broken up into two pieces, where, one side is actually pinned in on one side of its waist, and then the other half is pinned in on the other side. I also am not the biggest fan of the yellowish tint. I know it's not really yellow, it's kind of like this dirty beige, but I actually would have preferred it to be kind of more of a light gray or a silver, or at least a gray, because in the movie he actually is chrome. I also don't like that the axe doesn't fully encircle the hand. That's just a minor nitpick for me, because usually, the axes, it has to look like it's coming out of the hand, like it's actual energon. So this, half connection never did sit right with me for any Optimus figure. And probably my least favorite thing of all time is this freaking abomination, this freaking crap. This thing here will not stay on his back No matter the cost, no matter the attempt, no matter what, it just went on the other side of the room. Overall, this figure is an incredible figure, beautiful figure, and I love the fact that it represents one of the best depictions of Optimus Prime in any movie. Alright, number 9. And by the way, this is all in order from my least favorite to my most favorite. So this is all my personal favorites. Number 9, I have to give it to a figure that I have desperately wanted and paid more money to get in advance, which I don't always do. I just wait, you know, I go find it in the store. But not for this one. This one I found at TFCon, and I think is one of my favorite figures I got at TFCon, and that is the Studio Series 109 Leader Class Bumblebee Movie Concept Megatron. This thing is freaking awesome. This thing has just a beautiful presence, the detailing of live action, and it's such a unique take on his design. This is kind of a blend of both worlds, where you got that live action detail, but it still keeps his core aesthetic, like all of the Bumblebee movie designs. Probably one of the best leader class figures for Megatron ever. Like, just beautiful. Like, what is that? My favorite thing about him is immediately the stunning silver finish. That paint finish is absolutely beautiful. He looks like he was forged in a chrome factory. Like, he looks so freaking awesome. I love that finish, beautiful paint job, and mine has not scratched at all. I personally had no issues posing him. He looks really good. And the mind-blowing amount of fan-made alt modes that you can make with this thing is crazy. I remember when this first came out, I kept finding different, like, people making up different freaking turret mode, spider mode, freaking your mom mode. Like, he has all these modes, and I'm just like, that's crazy, the fact that the engineering can shape all of these dynamic looking images. Now, obviously all these modes are not perfect, but the fact that you can accomplish something close to that using just this one figure with no parts forming at all is really dope. It is a testament to how awesome the engineering is for this guy. Now, my least favorite things would have to involve the shape of the blaster, the fusion cannon. I just want it to be like a little bit like thicker on the actual barrel. I know this is probably faithful to the actual concept design that they have, because they were just trying to basically make a physical version of it, but even for the concept, I would just rather a larger like barrel for the blaster. It's not all the way there, but it's tolerable. I also wish he had another weapon, like a secondary weapon, like maybe the ball and the chain, or a mace, or something like that. I do like, though, that you can use the battle traps ball and chain, and it really looks good with this. It actually works out well. Alright, number 8. Number 8 is a figure I love so much. Every other character or like figure that I have that is like it might just be out of here, like for real. It is the definitive figure for this design, and it is one of the best figures ever released by Hasbro in 2024, and that is the Studio Series 86 Commander Class Optimus Prime, a wonderful commemoration of the original Optimus Prime design from 86, and this figure is an absolute beauty. I recently just unboxed him, so I'm like it's really fresh for me. Just seeing how cool this thing is. The beautiful paint, the design, the accuracy, the engineering, how everything cleans up so well. It is a definitive G1 Prime. Any other G1 Prime that I have is in jeopardy, because this is all I really need. My favorite things about this thing is the sturdy build. I like how sturdy he is. He's very playable. I love his playability. I love how he's very posable as well. You know, he's not really limited. Now, G1 figures usually are not that limited because it's a simplistic design, so you can really move them around very well. But they did very good with engineering the articulation alongside a more complex transformation for a figure or a character, a design that looks as simple as this. And I love the paint apps. It's just a beautiful, simplistic, fresh coat of paint to represent his on-screen appearance, and they mastered it. I also found myself really loving the truck mode and the trailer. And I thought I was never gonna care about that little flame effect you get for the truck, but when you have it in hand, it looks so dope. It looks unique. There's no other Optimus truck that has that effect, so it kind of stands out from other primes that you might have in your collection. So I'm tempted to transform him and display him just like that. Now, my least favorite things about him is that he doesn't have the jack pack for the back because, you know, his back is a little broken up, and I would love a jetpack or something to like smoothen it out. Probably my biggest issue is the Energon axe being rubber. You know, initially I didn't think it was a problem, but as you handle it, rubber bends, and it kind of like stays bendy, and I wish the Energon axe and the blast effects he gets for his weapon, I wish they were both just hard plastic. Like, just make it hard plastic. Like, Hasbro has a habit of doing like rubber stuff, but if the blast effects are thin, they're very bendy, and that's the issue. Other than that, 10 out of 10 figure, no issues. I freaking adore 86 Commander Class Optimus Prime. Alright, number 7 is actually a figure that did not release in 2024, at least I don't think it did, but I had to get it in 2024. This thing is crazy. I mean, I've never seen anything like this figure, and I have to give a shout out to Mang Motion YouTube channel, because his video of this figure immediately sold me on this figure, and many other figures too, and that is the Cyber Era CE01, which is a Dark of the Moon upscaled Bumblebee. This thing is a beast. A beast. Y'all, this thing is one of the most perfect looking Bumblebees I have ever laid eyes on, and probably ever will. This is like really close to ThreeZero looking quality and shelf presence without the price of ThreeZero. This thing is crazy. When I saw Mang Motion's video, I was like, yes, give me. Almost too good to be true. Like, it's what ThreeZero would kind of put out, and it's way better than YOLO Park quality. Even the AMK Pro line. This thing is an absolute masterpiece. My favorite things about this guy is the fact that he has an impeccable robot chassis sculpt. His robot mode is so movie accurate, and he's got tons of diecast, relatively a really good build quality. And one of my favorite details about this that really sold me is that there's some parts, I don't know if y'all can see it, but there's some parts on his chassis where it has like little carbon fiber like inspired touches to his paint, and that carbon fiber looks so good. Like, they need to do that more. I love the diecast, and I also love that he has LED lights in his eyes and blaster, which are magnetically triggered, and they have different modes. You have a pulsating mode for his blaster, you got different effects for his eyes. Just a beautiful thing that came out and represent, it kind of feels like a ThreeZero too. So hats off to Cyber Era, because you guys cybered my era, and thank you. Now, my least favorite thing about this guy, actually my most least favorite, my biggest least, my least of the least. So my worst is the scale. I was so disappointed. When I got him in hand, the scale does not work with like anything. It definitely doesn't work with, obviously, the retail stuff like Studio Series is way too big. But I was hoping it would work for at least the upscaled stuff, but it doesn't. It doesn't scale with MPMs. It doesn't even scale with MPM KOs that are like differently sized. It doesn't even scale with the oversized KOs. Maybe some of them. He doesn't even scale with Black Apple Prime. So I was like, man, he doesn't look right. So it kind of just has to stand alone, and I was ashamed because I wanted him to be with the team, with the Dark of the Moon team. And I will say that some of the joints could be more firm, like maybe like the ankle joints and stuff on my copy. But yeah, my biggest thing is the scale, because the dude is a freaking masterpiece. Oh well. Number 6, we're almost there. I'm gonna have to give this spot to a figure that blew me to cinders. And not only did it complete a lineup that I wanted to complete, but it actually just, I fell in love with it because I'm a big fan of this kind of Transformer. And that is the Takara Tomy MPM 15 2007 movie Brawl. Let's go! I absolutely adore this figure. Not only does he like represent a really awesome movie full of nostalgia, but he has such a great engineering and great shelf presence. It's kind of a must-have if you love the Bay vs. Decepticons. You can't really pass out on this. This thing is riddled with awesome engineering. Transformation is really awesome, and the shelf presence is crazy. Like, seeing him alongside the other Decepticons is a sight to behold. My favorite thing about him is the movie accuracy. They did a great job with engineering, and of course he has a lot of similarities to other figures that came out, kind of like the Studio Series. but they did some extra engineering that I love, like, you know, the compression of the main tank barrel to where it's not sticking. Yeah. I also loved all the blast effects he gets. The freaking fatal blow, you know, the missile and all the different blast effects he gets. Really awesome. You can really load him out. He looks like a wartime Decepticon ready to raise some hell. This is just a must-have for 07 movie masterpiece completionists. So, like, if you have other Decepticons and you want to finish the lineup, you can't pass on this guy. And I also love tank transformers. I have a thing for transforming tanks. I don't know why I like tanks so much. Like freaking Warpath and Brawl, like I love them just because they're tanks. Now my least favorite thing about him is he can't really get into dynamic poses that well. Like, you know, you can't really do like bendable or like really flexible poses, because I like to pose things. He's kind of hard to do that because he's so chunky. And I can't really blame the figure for that because the design is like that. You look at him on screen, he's chunky like that. And so he's not really one to be very gymnastic. You know, he's kind of like just, you know, the weapon specialist. Kind of like Ironhide. Ironhide has all the weapons. He's known for the blasters, not really the gymnastics. That's why they have Jazz. And I guess I can't really blame the figure for that. But one thing I can blame the figure for is the blast effects. A lot of these blast effects don't stay on. At least on my copy. Just the lightest touch they'll fall off on my copy. I have some on the bottom of my shelf right now. They just fell off. Maybe if they were not rubber, they would just secure well. I'm looking at you, Hasbro. But overall, an absolute freaking landmark fig. Okay, yeah. Oh, the whole arm came off. The entire arm. Okay, so that's another thing for the list. Alright, number 5. Here we are. My top 5 favorite figures this year. Like I said, in order from least to most. So now we're in the top 5. Number 5 has to go to a figure that it's just perfect. It's perfect. It's a perfect figure for an epic film of a character that I love. And that spot goes to the ThreeZero DLX Rise of the Beasts Optimus Prime. I mean, you know, ThreeZero just knows what they're doing. They always just master it. They have the perfect renders. They have the renders on file for these characters, and they just make perfect versions of these characters. Now, I debated this. I was like, should I get this? Because I have the Bumblebee movie ThreeZero. But I kind of like this design more, and I'm glad I did. Because it's not only a better design, in my opinion, but it's a better figure. It's visual perfection. He has die-cast parts, LEDs in the eyes, and I actually like that the LEDs are brighter than the Bumblebee movie version, because that one was a little bit too dim for me. I also love that the blaster has LEDs, which the Bumblebee movie version does not have. But not only does it have LEDs, but they have a pulsating LED, where the light literally pulsates. Look at that. Look at that. The light pulsates. The light pulsates. I love his melee weapons. Look how freaking long this sword is. He's got sick melee weapons. The Energon blade, the axe that he has in the film, just perfection. Perfection, perfection, perfection. I like figures you can play with, but I also like figures that you don't have to play with, that you can just display. And this ThreeZero is the way to go. Now, my least favorite things about him is the joints are a little too tight on my copy. Like, I'm really like scared to pose him, and that's it. Other than that, ThreeZero is just display perfection. Alright, number 4 on the list will go to a figure that I have been eyeing forever, but I had just been procrastinating on getting. This is my second favorite Bayverse character, well, Bayverse Autobot of all time, and that is the Weijiang Black Apple KO Ironhide. Y'all, I was really finicky. Should I get this? Because I have the MPM, I have the Studio Series. Why would I need this? You know, I was like, is it that serious? I mean, I could pass on this, right? Like, I don't need another Ironhide. I'm glad that I was wrong, because this is better than the MPM, visually, better than the Studio Series, obviously, but it's the best visual Ironhide that I have. I still gotta give credit to this guy because he transforms. You know, having the engineering along with the accuracy is a difficult task. It's easy for ThreeZero to make an accurate mold that doesn't transform. You don't have to hide any kibble. But to have to hide kibble and still make it this accurate is more impressive to me. So that's why I love what Weijiang is doing, what Black Apple is doing. Like, I love these figures so much, and I admire them a little bit more because of the massive undertaking of the engineering that made this happen. I mean, the movie accuracy is astonishing considering that he transforms and that it's a different mold from the MPM overall. And this is my second favorite Bayverse Autobot. Like, I absolutely just, I'm probably gonna have a whole lot more Ironhides. Like, they're gonna be putting out Ironhides, and I'm gonna be buying them. And I love the LEDs in the eyes, because that's really cool. That's a nice touch. My least favorite things about him, though, is probably the QC, the quality control, because the playability and the posing is pretty limited. You know, it's a little stretchy with the plastic in some areas, and I definitely will say the transformation into truck mode is absolutely abominational. It is an abomination to humanity. Like, it's not a fun experience. That's why I don't plan on transforming it at all. But he is best served displayed on the shelf, and I'm so glad I have him. Alright, baby, we get into the top 3! I'm pretty sure y'all know that at least one of these top 3s are gonna be Optimus Prime. At least one. You probably know that Optimus Prime is gonna be mentioned from this point to the end of the video, because that's what I like. This figure. Oh my gosh. Oh, I don't think I've ever seen a ThreeZero figure this perfect. I could be wrong, but this thing is a sight to behold. My number 3 goes to the ThreeZero Revenge of the Fallen DLX Megatron. This thing is the most beautiful, the most breathtaking, the most epic Megatron in my collection. What the living hell? Bro, how did they do this? Like, I just said that ThreeZero is not that impressive because the engineering for transformation, all that, but you gotta give them credit for making that the finish, the coating, the weathering, the detail, making this stuff look real. This is an absolute mastery of the movie render, and it is the most beautiful Megatron that I've ever laid my hands on. Die cast everywhere and rust everywhere. He looks like he came from the Laurentian Abyss. It looks like the real thing that they just shrunk. I've never had a Megatron this pretty, and I don't know if anything will beat this. We'll see. I even love that the tank treads are like rubberish. Dude, also, when you pose, look at that, look at that, look at that. Can you see it? Look at that. The tank treads move in his knees. I need help. Somehow I'm like, what is this? Look at this though. I mean, what the heck? Best Megatron. Now, my least favorite things about this guy probably would have to involve the fusion cannon. While I love the figure as a whole, I really wanted the fusion cannon to have LEDs. Like, come on, y'all. Y'all could put an LED in the fusion cannon. I'm a big LED guy. Like, I love how it comes to life when you put the lights in it. And they have it in the eyes. Put the LED in the blast. He has one blaster and no accessories. Just put an LED, a little just little thing. It would have been so much better if he had LEDs with like the pulsating effect or like something like that. And the only other thing I would say is that the longer dagger portion is not removable or retractable to make the shorter cannon appearance. Other than that, 12 out of 10. Holy crap. Alright, top 2. I'm pretty sure y'all know that I'm gonna mention Optimus Prime. But you don't know which Optimus Prime. Yeah. My number 2 figure of the year, I will have to give it to a figure. Now, I don't know if this is my number 1 or 2. I've been really struggling with this because I want to call it number 1, but I can't. But it's up there. Like, okay, like I have a number 1 and a number 2. It's like this. Just letting you know. It's not a full, they're almost like about to fight. But I have to give this spot to the MetalClub MuscleBear MC003F, which is a ThreeZero equivalent of the Dark of the Moon DLX Optimus Prime. What a masterpiece. What a freaking masterpiece, y'all. This is the best Dark of the Moon upscaled Optimus Prime non-transforming figure in the style of ThreeZero on the market. There's nothing like this. Dark of the Moon is my favorite movie. Dark of the Moon Prime is my favorite movie Prime. I lost my mind when I unboxed this, and I'm still losing my mind every time I look at this. How is this real? My favorite things about it, I would probably say, is that he's very sturdy Very heavy figure. He feels like a ThreeZero. And I also love that it's for the fraction of the price of ThreeZero. You know, you're getting this level of quality for not as much money as ThreeZero would ask you for. And I also love the vast assortment of Dark of the Moon styled weapons. So he has a whole bunch of accessories. He's got LEDs in his eyes, LEDs in the blaster. They did him right. One of my crown figures overall. There's a flight tech kit thing that a third-party company is making that's going to be compatible with this to make this into Jetwing Prime, and I need that extremely bad. Like, extremely bad. I emailed Shoshi's store about it, and they were like, yeah, there's no update. Maybe next year. Thanks! I'll wait another decade. But nah, seriously, this is a crown jewel. He is a crown jewel. Dark of the Moon fans, you won't be disappointed. My gosh. Oh, and for negative things, nothing. Nothing. Zilch. Nada. If I had to nitpick, maybe the axe could be a little larger. Some paint applications on the axe. Maybe the shield as well. But that's it. I almost had him at number 1. I almost had him at number 1, but I couldn't. I couldn't do it. Because my number 1 figure has to go to a Prime that is so fine and divine. And lemon lime on the crime. If you can't do the time, Prime versus Prime. Shut up. My favorite character. My favorite figure of that character from my favorite show. The trophy of 2024. The heavyweight champion of the year. The undefeated foe of 2024. Goes to the Iron Warrior. IW07 leader. DLX. Transformers Prime, Optimus Prime. This is the winner. This is the champion of the year. Y'all, oh my gosh, this thing is an absolute beauty. I cannot believe this is real. I never thought I would have it because it went out of stock and I never saw it again. Then one day, one frosty Christmas Eve, Shoshi's store came to say, Alfonso, with your eyes so teary, here's TFP Prime, very dreamy. And then I danced everywhere, and I was so happy, and I bought it. And then they shipped it to me, and I was like, holy crap, I got it. This thing makes my heart happy. It makes my life complete. It makes my collection feel finished. Like, I'm not in like a desperate need for anything. I got the ultimate Prime from my favorite show. The show that got me into this franchise. The show that connected me with Prime in that way. A Peter Cullen Prime. That noble, wise, calm, slow to speak sort of Prime. But that also complete and total badass in the front lines of battle. Like I've never... The Star Saber. Bro, this Prime ate and left no crumbs. He's the winner. He's the winner of the year, and there hasn't been a single figure this year, I don't think, that brought me to tears when I got it, except for this. Am I wrong? I'm not wrong. I don't know, when I see this figure, it reminds me of little Alfonso, like, you know, younger me, getting off of school on Fridays, rushing home to watch the new episode of Transformers Prime, and then talking about it, doing my predictions, my reactions. Like, that's what it reminds me of. My favorite thing about this, obviously, is the scale. This is the biggest Transformers Prime Optimus I've ever seen. Probably that there ever is right now. They're not making a lot of this version of Prime. I love his scale. He's basically the scale of a ThreeZero DLX. And he has kind of that shelf presence. He doesn't transform, I don't care. I have ones that transform. I wanted one that be perfect like this. I even like the weight. He has a decent weight to him. He's got some pretty like solid parts. I love that he has LEDs in his eyes. Like they're really taking notes with other like, you know, non-transforming figures. And he just, it's my childhood Optimus. It's my favorite version of Prime. What do you say, you know? My least favorite things, very little, but I will say the posing. The posing is not the best. It's pretty limited because of the overall build. A lot of this is sensitive, very like fragile parts. Some of the parts are a little thin, so I want to be careful with it. I can't really like play with it that much, but that's not what this is meant for. It's meant for display. And the only thing I would say is that some of the body parts don't stay tabbed in all the way, like the windshields in the front, and probably the Star Saber too. Like, it doesn't lock on that well for me. Look at this. Look at this. Look So yeah, that's my top 10 list. I love all these figures. As you can tell, the vast majority are upscaled. They're, you know, I only have 2 like mainline kind of retail figures. I mean, this year just was an awesome year for me collecting the bigger guys, and I love every last one of these guys. You know, the LEDs, the shelf presence, the details, and even the ones that transform have incredible engineering. Most of these don't transform, and I guess that's why they're on my list, because I just adore them. Now, I will say that because I don't have a lot of the Studio Series or mainline stuff in this one, I did make a top 5 honorable mentions list for characters that are pretty much mainline or retail or like, you know, lower budget. So these are my top 5 honorable mentions for 2024. Number 5 will go to the Legacy United DLX Optimus Prime. It's kind of like the vintage Prime that they did a reissue of, but they did a plastic version with some nicer articulation and more engineering. Beautiful homage to the OG vintage Prime. If you don't want to get like, you know, the die-cast one, the one that's like really hard to get, or the actual reissue one, if you just want a little plastic one that kind of has this core aesthetic, this is a great idea. So I really like this figure and I'm glad to have it. Number 4 is actually 2 characters, but I just have to do it because they can't really be separated, and that is the YOLO Park Cogless Orion Pax and D16. These guys are beautiful. I went with the Cogless versions because it's the most accurate. Like, you know, when you get non-transforming figures, they don't really fully encapsulate the character because they have 2 different modes, or sometimes 3. But in this movie, they specifically went with the idea of the characters not being able to transform without the cogs. So having the non-transforming figures just feels more... It feels actually like it's in place, like it's not missing anything, it's complete, you know, and these are beautiful. The YOLO Park Cogless versions, they mastered it. The chrome, the silver, the articulation, they're easy to put together, and it's representing one of the best movies in the franchise. I also love the innocence that they represent, like where it all basically began. It feels kind of like an homage to the very beginning. I wish we got the little mining weapons, the little tools, but it's okay. Number 3 goes to the Mighty Cockpit. I can't believe he's on my list. But in hand, it's not that crazy. On an image, in video, it's kind of wild. But in person, it's tolerable. The Gamer Edition War for Cybertron Starscream is an absolute awesome figure. Like, I just love it. I love the null ray, how you can, you know, make it transform out of his arm. He's really accurate overall. I love the Decepticon logos on the back wings. Yeah, that's what you see when you're playing the game the most, is the back, and they nailed it, you know? They even included like a mace, and I love that he has like the blast effects, or he has like the effect port, the little port here for under his feet, if you want to hover him, you know? Number 2 goes to the Gamer Edition War for Cybertron Ratchet. This was a really good year for Gamer Edition. I had to put him on the list. Beautiful figure though, like the engineering, very impressive. It's accurate, you know, the backpack is not terrible. I love the repair ray. I love that axe, like he comes with an axe, what? Like, it's so cool. This mold is incredible. I can't wait for the Ironhide because this mold is beautiful and it's gonna be awesome in that red. Just love this. I'm gonna be collecting Gamer Edition War for Cybertron. And if they do follow Cybertron, we'll see. I might throw in some of those too. And then we better get Dark Limit Warpath. You hear me? You hear me? And number 1, another Optimus Prime. Yes, I know. And that would be the Reactivate Optimus Prime. Transformers Reactivate Optimus Prime goes to my number 1 out of my top 5 honorable mentions. This is such an underrated design and an underrated figure. The build is awesome. Like, his joints are tight. The design is unique. Like, it's not too boxy. Like, it's faithful to the OG design. But it could pass for a movie version. Like, it's just, it came out of nowhere because the game came out of nowhere. And they released it so early, you know, before the game came out. And man, am I impressed with this. Beautiful. I love that Energon axe, and I love the blaster. You got weapon storage. Like, they just did this. But that's it, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. That's my top 10 and my top 5 honorable mentions of the year. There's a lot of other figures that I got that I really enjoy, and I'm just really happy to have them. And I'm really excited for 2025. It's going to be an awesome year. 2025 with all the reissues they're going to be dropping, the new figures for Bayverse, Rise of the Beasts, Gamer Edition, Age of the Primes, Like, there's got all kind of stuff to expect for 2025. It's gonna be a big year for figures, even though it may not be a big year for media, like movies or shows or Reactivate. I don't know if that's gonna happen. So there's a lot to kind of anticipate, and it's gonna be a journey going forward. So I'm really excited. So that's pretty much it. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like on it. If you're new, subscribe. 2025 is going to be a better year for Alfonso Nation, for me as a person and as a channel. I really want to do some different things, just make different types of content. I do have a plan to do a series. I'm thinking about it. I'm not 100% on it. I may be launching a new series on Transformers Prime, kind of like a throwback series, because I realize I don't really have a solid series where I talk about my favorite show. I also have another series idea that I'm not 100% sure on, but I'm thinking about. So there's things that I'm working on doing to improve the channel, and I hope you guys like it. I hope y'all enjoy it. But anyway, hope you guys have a happiest New Year 2025. Can't believe we're at the end and there's a new beginning ahead of us, and it's going to be awesome. Hope y'all have a safe holiday, and I will see you guys on the other side of 2024 as we move into 2025. A new beginning. Hats off to the franchise for accomplishing 40 years, and let's see what the future holds. Thank y'all for watching. I will see y'all next year. I'm gonna get my favorite. Till all. If I drop a figure, I'm gonna be so pissed. Or 1, yeah!